Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are tracking a very, very specific journey. We're going to follow the exact path that a piece of information takes from that brightly lit screen right there in the palm of your hand straight into the neural pathways of your brain. We're completely unpacking the whole shebang, the mechanics, the psychology, and the hard neuroscience behind our daily digital habits.
So let me ask you a question we've all asked ourselves at, 1 a.m. in the glowing light of our phones. Why can't you stop scrolling? Seriously, you open an app, you swipe just one time, and suddenly you are completely locked in. Even when you literally tell yourself out loud, just one more, poof, 20 minutes vanish. And the craziest part? You can barely remember a single thing you just watched. Why on earth does that happen?
Okay, let's dive into this. Digital psychology writer Akanksha Singh points out something absolutely fascinating. The decision to pause on a video or to just keep swiping happens in about 3 seconds. And here's the real kicker. It's not even a conscious choice. In those 3 seconds, your brain is actively running an ancient, millions of years old survival filter. It's rapidly scanning your environment, which in this case is your feed, and it's asking, is this a threat? Is this interesting? Is this a reward? If the answer is no, your thumb just moves instinctively. That is literally evolution at work. And to give you a sense of just how unbelievably effectively these platforms are triggering that ancient survival filter, let's look at this number. 200 billion. That is the number of daily views YouTube Shorts now averages, according to industry data from Conversa. 200 billion times every single day, human brains are engaging that 3-second survival filter on just one platform. It's mind-blowing.
Section 1. Decoding the algorithm.
So how exactly do tech platforms build systems that exploit our biology on such a massive scale? Well, according to Conversa's analysis, platforms use what's called a test and expand model. It works in 3 distinct steps. First up is the testing phase. When a video is published, the algorithm shows it to a tiny group of viewers based on basic content signals, things like hashtags or the background audio. Then we hit step 2, ranking signals. The algorithm meticulously measures how you react. Do you watch or do you swipe? The swipe away rate is the ultimate survival metric for a piece of content, because if the video survives the swipe, it enters step 3, the expansion cycle, where its distribution scales way up to a massive new audience. So avoiding your swipe away is basically the entire game.
Now, while the overarching goal is exactly the same, the actual mechanics kind of differ. YouTube Shorts, for instance, integrates heavily with Google Search, it rewards established channel authority, and it gives videos a super long shelf life, meaning a video can gather views for months. TikTok, on the flip side, is purely algorithmic with these really quick peaks, usually maxing out within just 24 to 48 hours. But hey, despite these differences in distribution, both are engineered to serve the exact same purpose, to deliver an endless stream of perfect 3-second hooks that keep you watching.
Section 2, chasing the dopamine hit. All right, shifting our focus from the software's mechanics to the actual hardware of the human brain, we run into a foundational concept in psychology called the variable reward schedule. Basically, this is a psychological principle where rewards are delivered at unpredictable intervals. And guys, it's the exact same psychological mechanism used in casino slot machines. When you swipe on an infinite feed, you never quite know if the next video is going to be boring, mildly amusing, or incredibly satisfying. That unpredictability, that's exactly what drives highly addictive behavior. Akanksha Singh really hit the nail on the head here. She says, every scroll is a spin, every pause, a payout. Your brain is literally endlessly chasing the next microdose of dopamine. And what's really alarming about this constant microdosing is that over time, our brain actually begins to lose its tolerance for delayed gratification. We become totally conditioned to expect an immediate emotional payoff the exact second we want it. It really helps to think of short-form content as a snack. It provides what psychologists call cognitive ease. It requires zero mental effort, zero patience, and offers an immediate emotional reaction. Long-form content, however, is like sitting down for a full meal. It demands narrative focus and patience. If you've been, smacking on rapid-fire, high-dopamine micro-videos for an hour, your brain simply doesn't want to do the heavy lifting required for the full meal. That is exactly why sitting down to watch a highly informative 10-minute video can suddenly feel like an exhausting chore. Section 3, the multitasking epidemic. We really love to flatter ourselves, don't we? Thinking we're these master multitaskers, efficiently answering emails while watching a video and scrolling a feed all at once. But neuroscience tells a completely different story. We aren't actually multitasking. We are just rapidly switching our attention back and forth. This creates a really convincing illusion of productivity, but in reality, it totally fractures our focus. And worse, it dangerously raises our baseline for stimulation, which basically means ordinary, quiet moments start to feel unbearably dull. To really see the impact of this, we need to look at some recent academic data. Researcher Idem Avji from Ozeen University conducted a study looking at Gen Z digital behaviors, and they found something absolutely staggering. These students spend a massive average of 4.8 hours every single day on social media. I mean, think about that. That is nearly a quarter of their waking life, constantly dividing their mental resources across multiple screens and platforms.
Section 4, the rise of brain fog.
Now, what actually happens after 4.8 hours of this every day? The term brain fog gets thrown around casually a lot, but medically speaking, it's a heavily documented cognitive impairment. We are talking about severe attention deficits, an overwhelming sense of mental cloudiness, forgetfulness, and surprisingly enough, actual physical fatigue. It's essentially a state of profound cognitive exhaustion. And the academic data linking our digital habits to this condition is incredibly strong. The researchers discovered that simply engaging in multi-screen use, just multitasking across digital devices, explains 54% of the variance in a person's brain fog levels. Just the sheer act of dividing your attention across screens is literally responsible for more than half of your mental cloudiness.
So, the crucial point is, what predicts brain fog even more than just screen time? The psychological pressure behind it. FOMO, the fear of missing out, explains a massive 64% of the variance in brain fog. The constant anxiety of feeling like you need to be connected and instantly responsive at all times is an incredibly heavy cognitive burden to carry around. This is right where the mind-body connection becomes completely undeniable. When we break the data down and separate FOMO into social and personal, the fear of missing out on social connections correlates with psychological exhaustion at 0.78. But even more shocking, actually scratch that, it's pretty terrifying, it correlates with actual physical symptoms of brain fog at 0.80. The stress of social comparison and this desperate need for digital belonging doesn't just tire out your mind, it highly correlates with literal physical exhaustion in your body. Ultimately, what's happening here is that by constantly dividing our attention and engaging in these compulsive digital behaviors, we're dramatically increasing what scientists call the executive load on the prefrontal cortex of our brain. We are basically forcing the brain to make thousands of micro-decisions every single minute. This leads to a super rapid depletion of our cognitive resources. Over time, the digital feed completely transforms from a place of light entertainment into this exhausting, heavy burden on our neurology.
Section 5, the attention evolution. As we start to wrap this explainer up, perhaps the most powerful reframe comes from Akansha Singh again. People love to panic, right? They love to say our attention spans are completely destroyed. But she argues something totally different. We haven't lost attention. We've evolved it. Our brains aren't necessarily broken. Instead, they are overstimulated, highly trained, and deeply, deeply ruthless at filtering out noise. Our brains are now simply demanding immediate relevance and an immediate emotional payoff. If content doesn't provide that in 3 seconds flat, that ancient survival filter kicks in and we move on. Which leaves us with this final, truly provocative thought to take away from this explainer today. The next time you open an app and your thumb instinctively flicks upward, I want you to pause for just a single second and ask yourself, are you truly in control of your scroll, or is your ancient survival filter making the choices for you? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. Stay curious, stay focused, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.
Welcome